during these times, I'm reminded of this story that I'm totally going to give my own version of, because I haven't read or heard about in a long time. The Buddha shared. And it was a story about a woman who lost her child. And some of you will know this story. So you'll know that I'm not getting it all right, but I think I'll get enough of it. So there's this woman who lost her baby, and she comes to the Buddha with the baby and asks the Buddha for help. She's lost her child and she can't be with the loss. She can't hold it. And the Buddha's, of course, has sympathy and care, offers care, and asks her to go to the village and to find a family that hasn't had a loss that might be able to help her, and then come back. And so she goes into the village and knocks on the door, and the first family is like, I just lost my grandparents, and I'm heartbroken. I don't know if I can help you. And then the next family is like, I've lost, my children to war, and I don't know if I can help you. And then the next family is a woman answers the door and she says, "Come in. I've also lost someone." And they sit together, and the woman talks about her loss and her pain and her suffering. And the woman with the baby is able to listen, offers her tea, and then she gathers her family, who then takes the woman home, and together they bury the child. So empathy shows up in the way that this woman was able to respond to. They were able to respond to each other through empathy. And the woman, of course, had hopefully gained this experience that, like I said when we first began, everybody's suffering. Everybody has lost something. Everybody has experienced pain. And sometimes I ask people to consider what it would be like if we met each being knowing that they were traumatized, knowing that they were experiencing trauma. What kind of space can that open for us in our experience of sometimes taking their reactions or their responses personally, how they react to us or how they treat us? And I was sharing with someone last night, just a little sentence came to me, and it comes in all different ways. But yesterday it was that we have to heal in order to heal the world. That all of our suffering that we put out on each other, that's the reflection of what we're seeing. We're seeing trauma ties people, right? Not holding or being with or acknowledging their trauma, like causing harm to other people. It's what we do. Is that what we have to do? Anybody in this world, anybody in this room who's done some healing knows what you were like before you were aware, and then as you're aware, because we have an opportunity to be kinder to ourselves and other beings. So my big shtick, if that's what you call it, is self-compassion. Because I believe that when we love ourselves, when we are kind and patient, when we allow ourselves to begin again, when we allow ourselves to even acknowledge the pain that we're experiencing, all of which I've totally ignored at certain parts of my life, when we do that, it allows us more space to be able to show up in the world, not only for ourselves, but those around us. It allows us to cause less harm. And what came to me tonight was to talk a little bit about, this is like old, I found it on my computer, but I thought it was kind of cool to talk a little bit about self-compassion and determination, what that's like. And there's a few more offerings in here. But this is kind of cool, so I just want to, when you like write something, you're like, who wrote that? That's kind of cool. That's not bad. Toni Morrison, the late Toni Morrison, said, if you want to fly, give up the things that weigh you down. Can you let go of what's not? Oh, that's her quote. If you want to fly, give up the things that let you down. I'm going to skip around a little bit. And as many of you know, mindfulness allows us to see ourselves and the world as it is. That's why I used to write on Facebook. That's how I think I got popular in some way or another. Whatever that means. But I would write these things on Facebook every day about forgiveness, about kindness, about mindfulness as I was learning. So I'd go on and be like, it's all about awareness, people, right? It's like mindfulness, you practice, you become aware. It allows us real choice to be who we want to be, to say what we really mean, and to let go of that which we no longer need in our lives. It's one of the gifts of mindfulness. And then practicing compassion. Practicing compassion. So remembering that we are the most important people in our experience. You are the most important person in your experience. Just like the gas mask. If you're not well and taking care of and loving you, you know what happens to the people around you. They suffer. When we're truly kind to ourselves, we can be better parents, better children, better friends. So that's one of my... It says here, when you are not aligned with or practicing compassion for yourself, you can't live into the life you've been given. You can't fully experience pain or joy. This next section says, living, learning, and loving in a constant state, in a consistent state, nothing is consistent, so let's say frequently. Living, learning, and loving in a frequent state of compassion means that I can't just criticize those who harm me in this life and think I'll feel better. It means recognizing their insecurity as something that I can at times recognize in myself. We recognize that everyone is suffering, everyone experiences trauma, and perhaps it's those who cause the most suffering are the ones who deny their suffering, which causes more outward harm. So how do we practice being kind to ourselves? How do we show ourselves care? And can we? Some of us can get stuck in the place, and I've been there, where it's like I can't change, or I can't do this, or I can't do that. But we're powerful beings. We can do whatever we set our mind to. Everybody in this room just made it through COVID. That was like, you remember that shock? It was shut down. Shit was shut down, right? And we all dealt with it in the way that we don't know what we can do until it's put in front of us. But we don't have to have everything put in front of us in order to be grounded in advance, to be ready and prepared with the practice of kindness, prepared with a practice of seeing clearly, be paired with a practice of equanimity. Alice Walker says the most common way people give up their power is by thinking they don't have any. And we know that happens with us. I know it's happened with me politically. It's happened with me at times around the environment. It's happened with me in times looking at patriarchy or the way that it harms every gender, each of us. In her book, A Fierce Heart, Spring Washam writes, listen to your heart and trust the direction you are being pulled. Something inside you already knows what to do. And so that relates to both whatever it is that's calling you, that needs your care, that needs your attention, that needs your love. Trusting our hearts to do that, as well as whatever you might be being called towards externally. That call might be that, I'm supposed to help somebody mow their grass. It might be I'm being called to help protest this thing. I might be called to go teach somebody how to read, right? It doesn't, just notice. You hear this, I think both Rumi has said it, and I've heard it from someone else, but that which you are seeking is also seeking you. Whatever it is that's calling you. In Buddhism, there are many lists. Determination belongs to the list of the 10 paramis. The 10 are the perfection of giving, as we know, as dana, metta, patience, truthfulness, equanimity, determination, energy, discerning wisdom, renunciation, or morality. You may know of sila. Also known as adhijna in Pali, it's been translated as decision, resolution, self-determination, will, and resolute determination. In the late canonical literature of Theravada Buddhism, adhijna is one of the 10 perfections. So we're talking about determination now, exemplified by the Bodhisattva's resolve to become fully awakened. And I'm going to offer some quotes on determination. Determination means to use every challenge you meet as an opportunity to open your heart and soften. Determine not to withdraw. And that was Pema Chodron, sorry. With determination, you can crush the mountains of fear and doubt within you. You can find your way through the most difficult situations. Determination does not mean you will be insensitive to the reality of a situation. A determined person is also adaptable and flexible. He is not interested in being tough for toughness' sake, but to overcome obstacles, says Jaram V, somebody I found on the internet. And for me, because it's important not to cling to the outcome, I also engage in faith, in understanding that things may not unfold the way I want them to, no matter how determined I might be, right? Because I'm trying to avoid a little suffering. I want to invite, and here's a quote from someone. I want to invite, so bringing in the word faith, I want to invite a new use of the word faith, one that is not associated with a dogmatic religious interpretation or divisiveness. I want to encourage the light in the word to help reclaim faith as fresh, vibrant, intelligent, and liberating. This is a faith that emphasizes love and respect for ourselves as a foundation. It is a faith that uncovers our connection to others rather than designating anyone as separate or apart. Not necessarily connected to a deity or God, though it doesn't deny one. This faith is not commodity we either have or don't have. It is an inner quality that unfolds as we learn to trust our own deepest experience. And that was Sharon Salzberg in her book on faith. And when I think about faith, it's something that we practice all the time. Right now, everybody, it's like, it's like being without question. How many of you are worried that you're not going to take the next breath? You're not even thinking about it, right? We have faith that when our body is going to be able to get up, like we live in it. So it doesn't have to be about a mega experience, but noticing where it shows up and that we're already living it. You wouldn't be here practicing if you didn't have faith that it was going to help heal you in some way. So just considering where it shows up for you and then how can you employ it? So I have a dream. Sorry. So I have a dream and a vision. I do. That there will be peace one day. I'm hoping there's still humans left when that happens. But I can hold that very powerfully and loosely. And it helps to drive my experience, right? Somebody, I'm going to shift a little bit. I should watch the time. You all know the times that we're living in. I mean, COVID really and now we're in this place of, right? Let's see if I remember where I was going now. I really don't. I lost it. I totally lost it. 60, I get to lose it. Let's see what's coming instead. Something must be there. And what's coming up is just reiterating this idea that we're practicing because we believe it's going to help. Maybe we've experienced some of that relief in some way. And the world is dangerous and scary right now, and it has been dangerous and scary throughout history. We can forget that sometimes. Doesn't make it better, but all right, I'm going to let go. I don't know what it was that was coming up, but it'll come back. Philip Moffitt, one of the teachers at Spirit Rock Meditation Center, talks about patience. Oh, here's what I was going to say, because this is what patience also came up for this. People are like, good, because I want to know. I shouldn't talk too much. I'm going to lose again. Somebody was telling me about how, you might have heard, it's really hard right now. And when I hear people say nothing has changed, I need to remind them that I am a Black trans man who was an adoptee, who had everything against them in this life. I remember before I transitioned, there was a part of my younger self that said, I'm a black, queer woman. Butch is how I identified. I said, there's nothing lower on this earth than me. There's no representation of me. And now I've transitioned to being like the target. Black male, trans, right? Buddhist in some ways. Now spiritual leader at a synagogue. Like I'm taking it all on. And so, have things changed? Absolutely. Things have changed. I'm not supposed to be sitting up here. We're not supposed to be in this space together. Not just with me or the other people of color in the room, even people who identify as males and female, right? Some of you are from different places, different clans. Things have changed. It's important for us to spend what I offer folks back west, so it sounds so different than back east, spending as much time looking at what's beautiful, what's right, and what's joyful as we do looking at what's hard and what's painful and what we can barely bear, hardly bear to see. Looking at the gifts. Since the Hamas attack, talking to people about living into the practice of whatever your practice is, because people can't. Whether it's a Friday night Shabbat or a Sunday morning Buddhist or you're Christian, like whatever it is that you do, the fact that we can walk, and the friend of mine saying, I can barely eat. I was like, what would it be like to eat with an Israeli or Palestinian with you? What it would be like to eat or drink offering compassion for children at the border? What would it be like to eat, to sit and take in this nourishment and consider someone who's being held captive anywhere around the world? It's not causing ourselves harm or denying ourselves any pleasure doesn't help anybody. There's a reason we're here. We have a privilege. Sometimes that really fucking sucks. And that's where we are. When I remember the Dharma Punks folks reminding people who were trained to believe that they weren't enough, sometimes externally and sometimes internally, as I both experience, like reminding folks that we are within the gates of the kingdom. We have way more power than anybody wants us to know or believe. How do we use it? How are we conscious about it? How are we kind to ourselves and each other with it? Maybe that privilege is simply, in Oakland, you have so many opportunities. In San Francisco, you have so many opportunities to offer somebody $1 or buy somebody a meal. Make a phone call to somebody. But guilt will not make a blind man see. Loving ourselves makes us more available to support and love others. All right, that was my little rant. Patience is the ability to stay present in a moment without being defined by restlessness. Determination is unceasing persistence. A balance of patience and determination brings sustainability. When I was doing my main work is diversity training. So I do some LGBTQ ally training and then like all kinds of things. So I do that. I do some anti-racist training, but I also, during that period, I was doing a lot of grief holding and dismantling microaggressions in the workplace. That's my favorite one. Because we all experience microaggressions everywhere, right? So that's my favorite one. And then okay, I don't know why I took you on that journey, because I want to come back to, like, in the Dharma space, talking about patience. And I was working at this time with some churches. And having patience, and the importance at that time, what I was talking about is that we're not waiting. I'm not waiting to bring you along with me to wake up to racism or transphobia, but patience means that I have patience and faith that you're going to wake up, but my job is to move on to the other people who are ready. Right? So patience can show up in lots of different ways. This is not helpful for me to wait for you to, like, get on the black frame, bandwagon, right? So, all right. Can you be determined to practice self-compassion? Treating yourself with care and understanding versus judgment is a practice that in this world requires determination. Offering ourselves patience allows easier access to growth and healing. And as you practice, it can create more opportunities to be present without resistance and the experience of bliss.
What's up, y'all? Reverend Mikey Noshel here from Wild Heart Meditation Center in Nashville, Tennessee. Thanks for checking us out. Do me a favor, please like and subscribe. And if you feel moved to leave a donation, you can do so at wildheartmeditationcenter.org or the Venmo link in the description. Peace and love.